Photosynthesis, an overview. How would you design a system to capture the energy of sunlight and convert it into a useful form? Plants have solved these issues, and maybe we can learn a trick or two from them. What role do pigments play in the process of photosynthesis? Photosynthetic organisms capture energy from sunlight with pigments. Energy from the sun travels to Earth in the form of light. Sunlight is a mixture of different wavelengths, many of which are visible to our eyes and make up the visible spectrum. Our eyes see the different wavelengths of the visible spectrum as different colors: red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, and violet. Plants gather the sun's energy with light absorbing molecules called pigments. The plant's principal pigment is chlorophyll. The two types of chlorophyll found in plants, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, absorb light very well in the blue, violet, and red regions of visible spectrum, but not in the green region, as shown in the graph. So they absorb violet, this one absorbs blue, and orange and red are absorbed. Leaves reflect green light, which is why plants look green. Plants also contain red and orange pigments, such as carotene, that absorb light in other regions of the spectrum. Red and orange in this region. Most of the time, the green color of the chlorophyll overwhelms the other pigments. But as temperatures drop and chlorophyll molecules break down and die, the red and orange pigments may be seen. Photosynthesis takes place inside organelles called chloroplasts. Chloroplasts contain sac-like photosynthetic membranes called thylakoids, which are interconnected, arranged in stacks known as grana. A single of the grana is called a granum. So in the plant cells, here's the plant cell, here's the chloroplast. It has an outer membrane, inner membrane. The stroma is the liquid inside there. A thylakoid is that package, it looks like a coin. Thylakoid membrane circles it, and inside is the thylakoid space. So they look like stacks of coins. Pigments are located in the thylakoid membranes. The fluid portion outside the thylakoid is known as the stroma. It's outer membrane, inner membrane, thylakoid, and then the granum is a stack of thylakoids. Any compound that absorbs light absorbs energy because light is a form of energy. Chlorophyll absorbs visible light especially well. When chlorophyll absorbs light, a large fraction of the light energy is transferred to electrons. These high energy electrons make photosynthesis work. Here's the light dependent action where water comes in, light comes in the thylakoid, and it exhausts O2, oxygen. It produces NADPH, ATP, and it has received ADP, a lower state of energy, producing the ATP. It also receives NADP plus. On the light independent reactions, this is a cycle of receiving carbon dioxide in the stroma and producing sugars from this NADPH and ATP, and exhausting ADP and exhausting NADP plus. What are electron carrier molecules? An electron carrier is a compound that can accept a pair of high energy electrons and transfer them, along with most of the energy, to another molecule. The high energy electrons produced by chlorophyll are highly reactive and require a special carrier. Think of a high energy electron as being similar to a hot potato. If you want to move a potato from one place to another, you would use an oven mitt, a carrier, to transport it. Plants use electron carriers to transport high energy electrons from chlorophyll to other molecules. That carrier is NADP plus, carrying the two electrons with the hydrogen. So it's NADPH plus carrying the electrons, and then it's NADP plus as it drops the two electrons, and there's the hydrogen also released. So it basically grabs onto the two electrons in the hydrogen ion and transports them, and then lets them go. NADP plus, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, is a carrier molecule. NADP plus accepts and holds two high energy electrons along with a hydrogen ion. In this way, it is converted into NADPH. The NADPH can then carry the high energy electrons to chemical reactions elsewhere in the cell, from here to here. What are the reactants and the products of photosynthesis? Photosynthesis uses the energy of sunlight to convert water and carbon dioxide, the reactants, into high energy sugars and oxygen, and these are the products. In symbols and words, 6 carbon dioxide and 6 water with that light energy produces that sugar, glucose, and 6 oxygen. So carbon dioxide plus water with that light energy produces the sugar plus oxygen. Plants use the sugars generated by photosynthesis to produce complex carbohydrates such as starches and to produce energy for the synthesis of other compounds, including proteins and lipids. So producing this starch, we use that glucose. Plug it in here and they tie together to make that starch. Photosynthesis involves 2 sets of reactions. The first set of reaction is known as light-dependent reaction because they require direct involvement of light and light-absorbing pigments, this first half. The light-dependent reactions use energy from sunlight to produce ATP and NADPH. NADPH is produced and ATP as it crosses over into the light-independent reactions. These reactions, on this side, take place within the thylakoid membranes of the chloroplast. Water is required as a source of electrons and hydrogen ions. Oxygen is released as a byproduct. So water comes in and oxygen gas is produced. The light-independent reactions is where plants absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and complete the process of photosynthesis by producing sugars and other carbohydrates. So they'll pull in carbon dioxide, use that NADPH and the ATP. In the stroma, they will combine that to make a sugar and then also release ADP and NADP plus. So during that light independent reaction, ATP and NADPH molecules produce the light dependent reactions are used to produce high energy sugars from the carbon dioxide. No light is required to power the light independent reactions. The light independent reactions take place outside the thylakoids in the stroma. They take place in the stroma. So in summary, light dependent reactions and light independent reactions, where do they take place? In the thylakoids, in the stroma. What is consumed? Light, water, NADPH plus. And here, what is consumed is ATP, high energy electrons from NADPH, and then carbon dioxide. What is produced? NADPH, ATP, and oxygen. And what is produced here is sugars.